everybody. I'm hoping that this is recording. Here you go. Recording has started. Hello, everybody. My name is Helena Good, and I'm one of the directors on the DayDreamBelievers program. And we're a not-for-profit agency who are bringing real-world challenges and real-world experience into the classroom. And we're absolutely delighted that Ada Festival has invited us along to share some of our insights and share some of the amazing people that we have met in our journey in building this resource. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Elina. So today you have a Helena and a Elina. That's a first for me. And Elina is going to tell you much more about herself than I could. But just to say, when I met Elina and we were talking about, what was going to happen and what we could say, and everything that she said just gave me such a sense of, wow, this is something our young people, if I was sitting in a class, if I was 13 or 14 sitting in a class and someone like Elina had come into my class and told me all about, what a job, some of the advice, it would have meant the world to me. So we're going to kick off. Elina, do you want to say hi before I launch into all the questions we have for you?
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot to me, and I completely realize that this, I could definitely put myself into the position of the students, and I've been where they are at the moment, and I know what the difficulties they may have or what questions they may ask themselves. So I hope this would be at least a little bit helpful to them.
It will, Elina. And I think just as we go on, you're going to share about your background, share about what your job is like at the amazing Dentsu agency. And then we have for everybody a free takeaway. We've got a swag bag for everybody who's listening. And that is that Elina has recorded a tutorial. So it's almost like if something sparks and you think, do you know what, that sounds really exciting. What can I do? So there will be a takeaway that will be on the festival website, and you can go in yourself with this free piece of software, have a bit of fun, be curious, be brave about what you might see. So, Elina, we're going to go back to your school, and I'm going to ask you a question, because I think, for all of us going back into our school, we will remember things that we liked, and what subjects were our favorite. So my first question to you is, what were your favorite subjects at school and why?
Well, it may be not the expected answer, but when I was in high school, my favorite subject was English. So I definitely knew that one day I want to study abroad. I didn't know how this would happen. I didn't know when this would happen, but I knew that I need a language. So I have selected a school where the focus would be on English, the priority, and the profile, the main subjects that determined my studies. It was called humanitarian profile. So the focus was on languages, English, Bulgarian languages, because I'm Bulgarian, literature, philosophy, history, etc. I could have made the easy choice to go to art school straight away after primary school and get me prepped for academy afterwards, for university, because I always knew that most likely I would work something related to art or to creative industry. I still didn't have a clue when I was in high school exactly what would be until the very end. Also probably worth to mention that back home in Bulgaria, the educational system is different. So it's quite different than here. So that was my goal one. So basically how I've approached my studies throughout all those years, high school and then undergrads, masters, was always having one goal at a time. So first was English. Again, this probably is applicable for many areas in life, especially when you're young, when you're a student. Sometimes the question how I'll do something can put you off, can take you out of your pathway. So don't think so much about the how. Think what you want to do. So I knew I want English, and someday I will move. I didn't know how this would happen. I didn't know if I'm going to have the means, the resources, but I was just following my intuition and what I was passionate about. So always follow what you're passionate about, and you ultimately succeed at the end.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I think, sometimes we lose sight of what we're passionate about. And, so for for anybody out there listening, just to think about that. Maybe write that down, as a question. What are you passionate about? And that lovely piece of advice, to think about, not to worry about how's that going to happen. Just to think about what's passionate, write it down there, and then see what comes from it. Lovely, Elina. Yeah.
In just little steps. Put in front of just taking little steps. Don't think immediately about the big road in front of you. Just just think about the daily steps. One foot in front of the other, just tiny baby steps, and that will help you tremendously in achieving at the end your goal.
Lovely. Baby steps. Lovely. So the next question we had was just to tell us about how you came to work at, so you came to Whitespace, and then obviously it's become Dentsu. So tell us a little bit about that.
So there is a long and a short answer. The short answer obviously would be I've applied, I got interview, and then I've got the job offer. But the long answer is again very much related to what I was just saying. I was a student, I think it was around 2016. I may be wrong, but it was somewhere around there. And Whitespace at the time used to organize lots of events for students, such as Bacon and Stuff, different Move summits, like different conferences, stuff like that. So I went to some of them, and I remember exiting Norloch House, our office, exiting the building, and thinking, one day I will work here. And I get goosebumps when I'm saying that. I didn't know, I was so inspired by the people. For me, these people were like, they were embodying creativity and innovation, amazing atmosphere. It's just, I wanted to be part of this collective. I wanted to be amongst those people. I was just realizing how much I will learn being in such an environment. Also, it was clear that they are so nice people, because to be successful, such as Whitespace and now Dentsu Creative, in order to be such a successful agency, you need to have people culture. It means it definitely, it's indirectly, it says good people, nice people that work together. So I didn't know when it will happen, how it will happen, because it's not that easy getting into Whitespace and now Dentsu Creative. You need to have certain portfolio. They select very good talent. So I didn't know when. I just knew I will work towards this. I'll build up on my portfolio, and one day when I'm ready, hopefully I'll get there.
Wow. I love that story. And I think it is that moment, isn't it, in the kind of the goosebumps where you find, not just a place, but a culture is what you're saying. And to do that, you had to be brave, you had to go and you had to go to an event that maybe you didn't know anybody, or, and that can be scary too.
Yeah, definitely. It can be scary, not knowing anyone, in trying to network. Networking is not for everyone. Not everyone is super social. I'm not I don't socialize easily. I need time. So, but definitely take the opportunities of such events, even not for socializing right away with the people, but just observing and checking out the place, checking out the people, because when you be selecting, when you be applying for jobs, I think the key thing you need to look at are the people, and to get the feel on the interview day, if they're nice people, if it will be easy to work. People are everything when it comes to work, to enjoy, because if you don't enjoy your work, which is closely related to that fact, what are the people there, you won't be improving yourself.
No, that's beautiful. Yeah. Would you say that it was a kind of an easy path getting? I mean, you seem like you investigated it. You just simply looked at the website, looked at the work, but was it an easy path to get to the role?
No, it wasn't an easy path, because in general, it's not an easy path to get into the industry, or to get. Of course, there are lucky people that, but how many are those people that overnight manage to, to succeed, or to get the job that they've dreamed? For most of us, it's a long pathway that you gradually proceed. Like, the process is everything. And in general, I would actually like to transform a little bit that question. It more general about my creative path so far since in university. So you meet people that will try to discourage you, that will tell you that I had that experience, that will try to tell you that you're not good enough, you'll not make it. Try to ignore. It may sound hard and almost impossible, but try to ignore those comments. Also, very often you will hear you need to be more focused, especially if you're like me. I like dipping into different areas in the creative industries. So I've been told that most likely I won't make it because on my business card it says multidisciplinary or visual artist, which sounds very broad. And what happens now with the industry? Employers look for multi-skilled people. Now more than ever, you need to know more than one thing. So if you're convinced, if you believe in what you're doing, if you're interested not in one but in 10 things, keep developing those skills. You don't have to be master at all of them, but if they really if they really interest you and you're passionate about them, just keep improving them. I think it's very important to know more than one thing. It just opens doors, opens opportunities. And in general, in creative industries, I don't think that we should put definite borders between different specialisms. Everything is intertwined. So it wasn't an easy path. People have tried to discourage me, to tell me what I am, to define me or what I'm not. Don't listen. It's hard. If you pay attention, okay, allow yourself to get vulnerable and to pay attention to that for a day or two, but then forget it. You may get angry or sad, but let that feeling be just temporarily.
Yeah.
Don't let it put you off from where you're going.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's great advice. That there will be times when people will tell you you can't do that, you're a girl, there's no money in that job, that, as you said, that's too broad, and it's listening to it, but not taking it on board and believing
Exactly.
in yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, or age as well. Like, for example, before joining Whitespace, Dentsu Creative Edinburgh now, I was teaching at Edinburgh Napier University. I was teaching master students. And afterwards, I also started teaching a little bit of the undergrads as well. So definitely, you can feel that sometimes you are underestimated because of gender or age. In my case, it was I could feel that students were questioning my authority just because of age. So you just need to try and build your confidence. You won't be inside you won't be, I think it's always good someone not to believe too much in themselves. Self-doubt is what leads to growth, but in such situations you need to know how to behave and how to stand your ground. It's hard, it's not easy, but yeah, this also kind of leads to the path. If it was easy, it wasn't at all. I've had, even back home in Bulgaria, in the academia, in the environment of academia, being questioned if I will succeed. And then I've managed to accomplish everything that I wanted so far.
Yeah, that's amazing. Brilliant. What I'm hoping as you're listening out there, maybe something sparks to you, just to know that will be difficult, but believe in yourself. So we talked a little bit about Dentsu, and you were going to share with us just a project, because I think that's always
Yes.
good to see. A picture says 1,000 words, and just for our young people to see the kind of thing that you're involved in, and for you to
Yeah,
talk that through. Is that okay to do?
of course. Let me just share my screen and I will talk you through the project.
Is it coming through? Sometimes Teams is funny. Oh, we're there. We can
So let
see
me
it now.
see. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So it is an AR filter, an AR Instagram filter, which is part of the wider campaign Draw the Line Against Malaria. The filter is called the Mundu, and it was created in partnership with Malaria No More UK and Facebook. So what I've been working on during the creation of the filter was using Spark AR, which is Facebook's software for creating Instagram filters. And basically we used the artwork created by Laulus and Banjo, an activist and an artist who supports this movement and trying to bring awareness around this issue, using his artwork to create the filter, the face masks, creating the mechanics, the interactions. Actually, I can share now a video with you so you can see how exactly this filter is working and giving you a little bit more information. Let me just open the video. Just if you can give me 1 second.
I know that Malaria No More won quite a lot of awards,
Yes,
actually.
yes, yeah.
You may not say that, but it was recognized as very innovative and very different way of dealing with something very important.
I will mention the awards as well.
Yeah.
Can you see the video just now?
Yes, that's great.
So as I mentioned, it's an AR Instagram filter created with Spark AR. The filter is part of the wider campaign Draw the Line Against Malaria, was created in partnership with Malaria No More UK and Facebook. Some of the achievements, for example, 2 awards at the Drum Roses, bronze at the Creative Pool, published in their annual, in the Creative Pool annual, just to name a few. And actually, this morning, we found out that the filter got shortlisted for Lisbon International Advertising Festival, which is absolutely amazing. And again, just going back a little bit about the process, how we built it, using Claudius and Banjo's artwork, I've created the face masks, and then working with my line manager, Graham, we have built the interactive element around the filter. As you can see, actually, I will share later the QR code that you can scan straight from the screen, and you can try it yourself on Instagram. And you will notice all the little details. The background has slight parallax. Let me play that again. The background has slight parallax. Text is moving with the user. Also, we have a transition added onto the text. We can see the interaction that happens when you wave in front of your face, and the masks, the different mask designs, they change. And the idea of all those bold patterns comes from the Mandu language, which is basically using those bold symbols, patterns, lines that form this distinctive visual language that we're using here. It was absolute pleasure working. On this project. This is probably my favorite project thus far that I've worked on, and the potential to engage, especially with young audience, when it comes to creating AR interactive filters, it's vast. It's really big. So let me share the QR code that you can scan straight with with your phone camera.
And that's the lovely part, that's so accessible, and so and also an understanding of what people, what will engage people, why would you, want to do that? And then, you understand and you're interested in the mechanics behind making that work, but also a really beautiful eye for the visuals.
Yes, yeah. The way you can incorporate visuals and making them interactive, it's just great. And nowadays, especially the young audience, they use filters on most of the platforms. Now we have AR filters on Snapchat, Viber, Instagram, Facebook, like they're everywhere. So it's a great way to engage with younger audience and bring awareness to different, not just for fun, but bringing awareness regarding different really serious issues such as malaria. So this was absolute pleasure working on this project.
And would it still start, when you're looking at it, it still starts with a pencil and an idea and a sketch,
Yeah. And at the time when we've worked on it, I'm not sure. I think now Facebook integrated that into the software. Spark AR is the software, as I've mentioned. But when we were working on this, there was no such feature to wave in front of your face and to trigger transition. So we had to figure it out, how we do something that actually doesn't exist. And it was lots of testing, prototypes, then looking how we can create this kind of brush stroke transition, so it's not just fading in and out, but actually having a little bit more intricate detail to it. Then we've got the artwork from the artist that then I broke down into pieces to put the different mask designs. So yes, it was a long process. It didn't happen for a week or two. It was much longer. I think at least a couple of months, probably. Of course, there were other projects that we worked alongside this, but it took a big chunk of time to create. And I think that because of its interactive nature, I can really link it to the spline 3D, which will help the students to, make first steps into something more interactive.
Yeah, brilliant, lovely. And we've just got sort of three more questions here. And this one is, what advice would you give to any students wanting to get into design?
Well, first is never give up. As
Yeah.
I've mentioned, always follow what you believe in. Try to learn to love research and feedback early on. This is something I've got to love a lot when I came here to study, which I think it was late. I should have learned that earlier. But feedback is precious, critical feedback, not the good, nice feedback. We don't
Yeah.
want that. We want to be critical because that's going to help us grow. So when someone criticizes you, don't get too defensive, don't get too precious about your ideas. Embrace that. This is the best. I remember in my undergrads, when I was finishing here my photography studies at Napier, we were gathering in the print room, laying down small prints of our photography. We were almost the entire class, all my peers, and we were helping us building the edits, the sequence, the storyline, criticizing each other, giving advice. You should reshoot that in that way with that lighting, and that was great. And also the tutors who also were giving completely, from different perspective feedback, but always feedback is the most precious thing that can help you as a student and then as a professional, because feedback would never stop. Even once you feel that you're a little bit more accomplished and you get into a job, still feedback would be number one, really key. And then it's research. I think many students, and from my experience teaching, many students fall into the trap thinking that research is something boring, that research lies into books, big piles of books, into the library in a corner alone. Well, it's not that. It's fun. You can do so many research. There's so many research methods that are so interesting. I was doing cultural probes, phenomenology, and there's so much fun, and you get to actually use your process and your craft as a research method,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yes.
So learn how to do that, and you instantly fall in love with research, and it will be your best friend
Brilliant.
forever.
I mean, that's music to my ears, because as you know, we've brought in a new qualification in schools called creative thinking, and there's a number of schools across Scotland taking that. And one of the key parts of that is the research. And what we're seeing is our young people are doing primary and secondary research, interviewing people, really going further than, putting something into Google and getting the first answer. So
Exactly.
that's brilliant. We've got two questions here, and the reason I'm asking them is at Daydream we do quite a lot of work with Lego, and Lego, when they start some of their meetings at a senior level, they ask their team these two questions, and they've kind of always resonated with me. And so the first one is, what are you curious about at the minute? And the second one then is, where are you being brave? Or
Okay, well, what I'm curious about, this is something that I'm always curious about, and that's other people's processes.
Mm,
Knowing how other people, getting to know and learning, of course, if they're willing to give their know-how to, how they make things that I make. For example, I love when we share ideas with my colleagues, and when they show me how I can achieve the same thing I'm doing, but using different approach, different methods, different tools within the software. Just one example.
yeah.
So knowing how other people's processes, this is invaluable, just because it opens your mind, and it showcases you how one thing can be achieved in so many other pathways and
Yes.
approaches. And what I'm being brave. Well, this is something that it's not something huge. I think it's small, but still probably it's enough. Saying yes to things that I don't know entirely how to do, uh, or I'm not confident, or I need to learn how to do in order to do what I've said yes to.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll be asked, hey, we have this project. Do you want to work on it? And it may sound amazing, but you don't have a clue how to approach it, what to do, from where to start. Just say yes. what's the worst thing that can happen? Most of the time, you'll be supported.
Yeah.
Whether that's going to be your teachers, tutors, your peers, friends, family, you'll be supported. Worst case, you're going to fail. Well, but even when you fail, you have learned something. I'm sure at the end there will be something that you have learned. So be brave by saying yes to things that you're not 100% sure or you don't have a clue. That's what usually I'm brave about. That's my brave moment.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Great advice. And I think that leads us nicely into the spline tutorial. So you've
Yes.
created a tutorial. First of all, sort of, why do you think that this, using spline is something that as a first step? You talked about the kind of first steps, baby
Yes.
steps.
Well, it is available in browser. You don't have to download anything. Makes it very easy to get into it. It's free. In terms of what you can achieve with it, you can achieve very simple things. As a beginner that you've never worked with something like that, you can just straight go onto it and do something. And of course, if you're a little bit more confident if you want to build up and keep learning it, you can create more complex object scenes. You can model your own 3D models there. So this tutorial is going to give you really short, simple, hopefully friendly introduction to spline. And you may find it useful for a little project that you have at school. Why not collaborating? Because it allows collaboration. We can collaborate with your peers on presentation or something and making it a little bit interactive. The best thing is you can just use the library. It's free library with templates, with entirely built sets, scenes, or with individual objects. And you can really have, just approach it in a playful way. Have fun and explore it. So I hope that the tutorial, it's not in any way intimidating, and you'll find it like approachable and relatable to probably in a way that you can find use of it in your studies. So that's the main idea. Just showcasing you a simple way of creating something a little bit, just introducing you to interactivity, something a little bit more interactive and 3D.
That's brilliant. And I think that's the lovely thing about having met you. You can feel, Elina, your passion for young people, your desire to share your own experience and your journey and your determination, to find a place that you thought, I want to work here. What's it going to take? And even, when you said I get goosebumps, so you remember what that felt like, that passion and that energy.
Yeah.
And then to know that you're there and you've not only got a job, but you've created award-winning pieces of work, which is, hats off to you. But in doing so, you've come back and you said, start small, for our young people. We've got you. Try this. This is a simple way. So nothing is, sometimes for all of us, we look at, someone like yourself and we look at that piece of work and it seems so far away from where we are at the minute. And what I love is you've told us to be brave, you've told us to be curious, and you've given us small steps.
And also don't forget that even this award-winning project, it's not one person. It wasn't just me. So sometimes you may look at a really amazing work or a work that you wished you've created and think, wow, how they've done it. Well, it's not one person that it takes to create such a project. I wasn't alone. I had my manager, we had a team, constant feedback. So I wasn't creating it alone. It's all about team effort and helping each other, building on each other's skills. So that's key.
Yeah. Well, listen, on behalf of all the young people, and I hope there will be a lot of young people who get to meet you, Elina, virtually here and maybe in one time in person. I want to say huge thanks. I mean, I've learned a lot. I feel inspired. I got the goosebumps when you were talking about that. And I'm going to go. I mean, I've never looked at spline, and I think there's my brave and curious moment. I'm going to go and check all of that out. So behalf of all the Ada Festival team, I'd like to thank you for sharing your insights. Thank you for the spline. And we wish all our young people out there a brave and a curious experience. Start small, as Elina said, find what your passion is and think about the small steps. write something down today that you're going to do as a takeaway from what we've said. It could be the tutorial, it could be to check out an agency like Dentsu, it could be to look at some of the resources on DayDreamBelievers. There's a beautiful one there written by Whitespace about some of the work that they do. So small steps, find your passion, and always be creatively brave. Elina, it's been an absolute joy, and I'm just going to go in here, stop the
Thank
recording,
you.
and thank you. You're
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really, I really appreciate your time. It was equally helpful even for me doing that retrospection. It was absolutely great. I hope it will be helpful. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Thank you.